I couldn't believe what I was hearing. There I was, standing at the front of the rehearsal dinner, surrounded by family and friends, feeling like everything was falling into place. Kara, my fiancée, had a glow about her, and I could feel my heart swell with excitement for the big day ahead. That was when Ava, my sister, stood up and spoke in that calm, chilling tone of hers. Everyone, I'm sorry, but I've made a decision. Kara isn't welcome at the wedding, she said, looking directly at me with a cold stare. The shock hit me like a freight train. The room fell silent. My heart raced as I turned to Kara, whose face had gone pale. She blinked back tears, trying to process the words. My mind screamed in disbelief. How could Ava, of all people, do this to me? This wasn't just an argument. This was an attack on my fiancé in front of everyone. It wasn't like the usual petty sibling squabbles. This felt intentional, calculated. Ava had crossed a line. I didn't know what to say. My emotions were too raw. How could my sister, the one I loved most, do this to me? I stumbled back, trying to find a way to salvage the night. But all I could think of was Kara's shattered expression. What was I supposed to do now? I pulled Kara aside, my heart breaking with every step. She was quiet, trying to compose herself, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. She was always so strong, and seeing her like this made me feel weak. I don't understand, Maya, she whispered, her voice shaky. Why is she doing this to us? I didn't have an answer. I was so lost in my emotions, I couldn't form the words to comfort her. Ava, my own sister, had tried to tear us apart. This wasn't the first time I'd felt the sting of Ava's jealousy, but this was a betrayal so deep it felt impossible to fix. I've been trying to understand for years, I admitted, my voice thick with emotion. But this feels different. She's trying to ruin our lives, Kara. Kara wrapped her arms around me, her presence a small comfort. We'll get through this. Together. I wanted to believe her. But the weight of Ava's cruelty felt impossible to shake. The pain in Kara's eyes was something I never wanted to see again. I had to confront her. I couldn't let Ava's poison infect the rest of our lives. As I approached her, she looked up from her glass of wine, the smirk on her face already telling me everything I needed to know. Ava, what the hell is wrong with you? I demanded, standing before her with fire in my eyes. Why would you do that to Kara? To me. She didn't seem shocked. In fact, she seemed oddly calm. You don't understand, Maya. It's not just Kara I'm trying to keep away. It's this whole farce you're calling a wedding. Her words hit me like a slap. What are you talking about? You're always running after this fairy tale, Maya. You're too blinded by love to see the truth. You're leaving me behind for her, Ava spat, her voice full of resentment. My stomach twisted with anger. This isn't about you, Ava. This is about my future, my happiness. She scoffed. Your happiness? Don't you get it? You've abandoned me for her. For a woman who isn't even one of us. I haven't abandoned you, I said, struggling to hold back tears. But this cruelty is beyond anything I ever imagined. She crossed her arms, her face hardening. Then you'll have to make a choice. Kara or your family. I was speechless. The betrayal, the lies, it was too much. The next few days were a blur. Ava's venom had seeped into the family, and people began questioning Kara's intentions. My mother was quiet, and my father avoided the topic altogether, but I could tell that the seed of doubt had been planted. Ava wasn't done. She wasn't done hurting us. She sent a message to the entire family, accusing Kara of being after my money. It was outrageous. Every word of it was a lie, but that didn't stop the damage it caused. Everyone's talking about it, Maya, my best friend called. What is going on? I ran my hands through my hair, frustrated and heartbroken. Ava's spreading lies. Kara has nothing to do with money. She loves me, and that's all that matters. But the doubt was already there. Some family members had started to side with Ava, questioning Kara's motives. I knew I had to stand up for her, but the thought of losing everything because of my sister's jealousy made me sick. Then, as if on cue, my phone rang. It was Liam, the venue coordinator. "I have an idea," he said, his voice steady and calm. "And it could change everything." I met with Kara after the call with Liam. She was quiet, the weight of the family's judgment pressing down on her. But there was something else in her eyes, a determination, a quiet strength that I had always admired in her. "I'm not backing down, Kara," I told her firmly. "I don't care what Ava or anyone else says. I love you, and we're getting married." Kara smiled, though her eyes were still full of hurt. "I don't want you to fight for me. I want you to fight for us. This is our life, Maya. No one can take that from us." I nodded, feeling the weight of my love for her and the importance of what we were fighting for. "I won't let her tear us apart. I promise." But Ava was not someone who would back down easily. Her threats had already torn through our family, and I could feel the tension building. I had to confront her again. I had to let her know that nothing would stop this wedding. Liam's plan began to take shape. He suggested we gather evidence to clear Kara's name, to show that Ava's accusations were baseless. We started investigating, trying to find anything that would prove Ava was the one manipulating everyone. We uncovered some disturbing truths about Ava's relationship with our parents. She had always played the part of the perfect daughter, but behind the scenes, she had been hiding things, like the way she used our parents' wealth to fuel her need for attention and control. It wasn't easy to dig into the past, but as we pieced things together, I felt the weight of betrayal grow heavier. But then, just as we were beginning to feel like we had the upper hand, something shocking came to light. Ava had been secretly planning her own wedding, an extravagant, over-the-top celebration that she intended to host using our parents' money. She had been plotting to overshadow my wedding, all along. The revelation hit me hard. How could she betray me like this? How could she go so far to ruin the one thing that mattered to me most? The truth about Ava's secret wedding plan stunned me. She had been stealing money from our parents, using their retirement savings to fund her grand affair. I couldn't believe it. The depth of her betrayal was beyond anything I could have imagined. But I knew now that there was no turning back. Ava had been playing a long game, using me and our family as pawns in her quest for control. I couldn't let her get away with this. The wedding was fast approaching, and I knew I had to confront her with everything I had. But with the clock ticking down, I realized that Ava wouldn't go down without a fight. The only way to stop her now was to expose her for the manipulative, selfish person she truly was. The day before the wedding, tensions were at their peak. Ava showed up at the venue, trying to sabotage the preparations. She was as defiant as ever, attempting to dictate the way everything should go, as if she still had control. But this time, Liam stepped in. He made it clear that she was not welcome and that the wedding would proceed without her interference. His unexpected intervention caught me off guard, but it was exactly what I needed. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone in this. Ava was escorted out, her face twisted with rage. She had no more cards to play. But just before she left, she turned to me and snarled, "You think this is over? I'll make sure your wedding is ruined. You haven't seen the worst of me yet." My relief was short-lived. As if the situation weren't tense enough, my mother-in-law, Gertrude, showed up at the venue, furious. She had always sided with Ava, and now she was demanding that Kara be removed from the ceremony. "Gertrude, this is my wedding, not yours," I said, standing my ground. "I love Kara, and she's staying." The fight between us was intense, with Gertrude trying to guilt me into doing what she wanted. Her words cut deep, but I knew I couldn't let her control me. I had to stand up for myself, for Kara, and for the love we shared. Liam was by my side, supporting me in every way. With his help, I was able to face Gertrude head-on and refuse to let her dictate my happiness. But even as the battle raged on, I knew that this was just the beginning. Kara, who had been so quiet throughout all of this, finally spoke up. She stepped forward with grace and strength, addressing the family that had been questioning her every move. "I'm not here for anyone's money," she said firmly, her voice carrying across the room. "I'm here because I love Maya. I've worked hard for everything I have, and I'm not here to take anything from anyone. I've never asked for anything but her love and respect." The room went silent as Kara's words sank in. I could see the disbelief on the faces of some of the family members, but for the first time, there was a shift. They were starting to see her for who she truly was, a strong, independent woman who didn't deserve the treatment Ava had subjected her to. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, an unexpected guest arrived. Malcolm, Ava's fiancé. He had a look of hesitation on his face, but he walked up to me with something in his hand, a small envelope. "I know what Ava's been doing," he said quietly, "and I've had enough." He revealed a shocking piece of information. Ava had been borrowing large sums of money from him, promising to pay him back with Maya's inheritance. This was the final straw. Ava had been using me as a pawn all along, trying to manipulate me into canceling the wedding so she could get what she wanted. The conversation with Malcolm left me stunned. I barely had time to process the revelation about Ava's financial scheming when Gertrude's voice broke through the tension. She stormed into the room, her presence as commanding as ever. "Maya, if you go through with this wedding, you'll never see your parents again," she declared, her words slicing through the air like a sharp blade. "This is a betrayal of everything this family stands for." Her words hit hard, and for a moment, I felt my resolve falter. My family meant everything to me, but I had already lost so much to Ava's manipulations. I couldn't let Gertrude's ultimatum stop me now. I took a deep breath, standing tall despite the weight of her threat. "I'm not giving up on Kara. I'm marrying her, and nothing will change that." Gertrude's face twisted with fury, but she didn't say another word. I could feel the tension in the room, but I also felt something else, a sense of empowerment. This was my life, and I had the right to decide who I spent it with. The days leading up to the wedding were filled with conflict, but Liam, ever the calm and collected coordinator, had a surprise for me. As we met to discuss the next steps, he pulled out a document from the venue's contract. "There's a clause here," he said, tapping the paper. "Non-refundable deposits, strict terms regarding family access. It's all in here. If Ava tries to sabotage this wedding, we have legal grounds to stop her." I felt a surge of relief. This hidden clause gave us the leverage we needed to protect the wedding, no matter what Ava or Gertrude tried to pull. Liam's calm demeanor reassured me that we had a fighting chance. But deep down, I knew Ava wouldn't back down easily. She was capable of anything. Just when I thought I could breathe easy, a message came through from an anonymous source. It was a warning. Ava was planning to sabotage the venue's reputation. She'd hired a team to leave fake reviews, claiming the venue was unprofessional and disorganized. It was a cruel tactic, designed to scare off our guests and make us look incompetent. Kara and I were devastated, but Liam, with his unwavering determination, assured us we could handle it. "We'll take action. We'll counter her every move." I knew this was it, the final test. Ava had taken things too far, and I wasn't going to let her ruin this day. It was time to confront her once and for all. With Liam's help, we gathered the evidence we needed to confront Ava. Just when I thought we had everything in place, Malcolm stepped forward with something even more powerful, an audio recording. He handed me the file. "I've had enough of Ava's lies. She's been scheming for years. I can't stand by and watch her destroy you anymore." The recording was damning. Ava's voice was unmistakable as she admitted to her plans to ruin the wedding, all while blaming Kara for everything. She even confessed that her hatred for Kara wasn't about love, it was about jealousy and greed. With this recording in hand, we were ready to expose Ava's manipulations. But I knew she wouldn't go down without a fight. As we prepared to confront Ava with the recording, Liam shared another shocking piece of information. He had discovered that Ava had been hiding a dark secret, one that went back years. Apparently, Ava had been engaged to someone else before, and when that relationship ended, she had done everything she could to ruin her ex-fiancé's life. It was a staggering revelation. Ava's entire life had been built on manipulation and lies. She had been using people, family, friends, anyone, to get what she wanted. And now, she was trying to destroy my future with Kara. The truth about Ava was out, and I wasn't going to let her win. Ava's manipulations weren't confined to family alone. Word spread quickly, and some of my closest friends began questioning my relationship with Kara. Ava had been poisoning their minds, planting seeds of doubt about Kara's intentions. My heart broke. These were people I trusted. How could they believe Ava's lies? But I wasn't going to let Ava tear us apart. I gathered my friends together and told them the truth. I explained everything: Ava's jealousy, her manipulations, and her lies. It wasn't easy, but slowly, they began to see the truth. One by one, they stood by me, reaffirming their loyalty to both Kara and me. As the wedding day drew closer, Ava's sabotage reached a new low. I learned that she had contacted the wedding photographer, coercing him into deleting footage from the rehearsal dinner. It was a deliberate move to erase any evidence of her involvement in the chaos she'd created. I confronted the photographer, but he was quick to admit his mistake. Ava had blackmailed him into removing the footage, but Liam had a backup plan. He revealed that he had secured his own footage of the event, proof of Ava's actions. With the evidence in hand, I knew we were ready to confront her. The big day arrived, and the chaos surrounding the wedding reached its peak. Ava showed up, uninvited, causing a scene at the ceremony. She demanded to speak to me, but this time, I wasn't afraid. Liam took control, using the venue's security to keep Ava from disrupting the event. I was finally free of her influence. The wedding would happen, no matter what she did. But just as I was about to walk down the aisle, Ava dropped the bombshell. She claimed that Kara had a dark secret, something that could destroy her reputation forever. Ava's accusation rocked me to my core. She claimed Kara had a criminal past, something I had never known about. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to Kara, who was visibly shaken. Kara, looking calm but vulnerable, took a deep breath. Yes, I made mistakes when I was younger. I was arrested for a minor infraction, but I've worked hard to build my life. I am not the person Ava is trying to make me out to be. I felt a surge of love and pride for Kara. Her honesty, her strength, it only made me love her more. The truth didn't destroy her, it only made her stronger. And I knew, in that moment, we were going to get married, no matter what. I stood before my family, my friends, and everyone who had come to witness this day. I looked at Ava, who was still trying to manipulate the situation, but this time, I was ready. Ava, you've tried to tear us apart. You've done everything you can to destroy this wedding, but it's not going to work, I said, my voice steady and strong. Kara and I are getting married today. No one can take that away from us. Ava's face twisted with anger, but I didn't back down. The power had shifted, and I was in control of my own destiny. Just when I thought the worst was over, Liam stepped forward with an unexpected revelation. He had uncovered even more of Ava's manipulations. He had recordings of her plotting to sabotage other weddings in the past. She wasn't just targeting me, she had done this to others before. With this new evidence, Ava's credibility was destroyed. There was no denying her manipulations anymore. She was exposed for the fraud she truly was. With Ava out of the picture, I walked down the aisle, my heart pounding with excitement and love. The ceremony was everything I had dreamed of, and more. Every step I took brought me closer to the life I wanted with Kara. The chaos, the lies, the betrayals, all of it was behind us. This was our day. Just before we exchanged vows, Ava made one last attempt to disrupt the ceremony. She tried to humiliate Kara in front of everyone, but this time it didn't work. I stood tall, silencing her with the full weight of the truth. "This is my wedding, Ava, and you will not ruin it," I declared. With that, the final confrontation ended. Ava was escorted out, and I was free to marry the love of my life. The ceremony was beautiful, filled with love, support, and joy. Ava's plan had failed, and I was finally able to marry Kara, the woman I loved. As we exchanged vows, I knew that the hardest part was over. The family began to heal, and Ava's reputation was left in tatters. As the reception began, I looked at Kara and smiled. This was only the beginning of our new life together.